Welcome. I warmly welcome Dr. Nina Meyerhof.
Yes, and I too. And we're honoring International Peace Day with our 2023 Awakening Peace Award recipient, Dr. Nina Meyerhof. So Nina is the co-founder of the One Humanity Institute and president and founder of Children of the Earth, a visionary thought leader recognized for her advocating for children and youth around the world. Nina has dedicated her life to working for the betterment of children's lives through developing empowerment processes with a focus on self-esteem, democratic living skills, understanding one's spiritual nature, and furthering a local to global perspective. As the co-author of Conscious Education, The Bridge to Freedom, and Pioneering Spiritual Activism, she has been an innovative force in authentic education and holistic education. Nina has received many awards for her work and is recognized as one of the world's known evolutionary leaders. Nina believes it is necessary to put words into action and has exemplified her commitment to peace education in approximately 100 countries. So in honoring you with this award, it's for your outstanding contribution in peace education and leadership, working tirelessly for a lasting peace legacy for future generations.
So, yeah, actions for peace, our ambition for the global goals. That is the theme of the 2023 UN International Day of Peace. And Nina's life demonstrates for all of us how our individual actions can affect and foster global peace. Training youth leaders is an antidote and unifying principle that we are one humanity. Though the world reminds us of separation with wars, violence, political differences, and prejudice, it is time for us to model Nina's passion in our lives. Nina is a true pioneer in this endeavor, someone who walks her talk. She builds community, connections, collaboration all around the world. She advocates to go beyond cultural, ethnic, and religious differences and strives for altruistic ethics. Her life's passionate focus is on the realization that peace must come from recognizing our interwoven unity as one humanity. Nina is truly a visionary thought leader caring for the world, especially for our youth. So I'm deeply honored, Nina, to give you this award in 2023. And I'd like to ask you, please share more about your lasting peace legacy.
First of all, it's such a great honor to receive this review of my life in such glowing terms. You know, I started very young. I think I was in my 20s, 27, and I'm now hitting the 80 button. So I've been walking this planet for a long time, but I never thought of it as pioneering new thinking. I just thought of it as what needs to be done. And I was always committed to young people as not only the leaders in the future, but the people that can begin to create new models of understanding. One of my directions always to young people is don't imitate what has come before you. Think about what is your purpose and where can we go with this, you know? So is it possible to stop the momentum of conflict in every way and begin to build a world that works for everyone? And especially it begins with the I, and then it goes to the we. And eventually you do come to the one, because you finally understand that we're all human beings wanting similar outcomes. I mean, in the West, it's about money and success, etc. But underneath it is the desire to feel content, to have a life that feels fulfilled. And as far as I'm concerned, the way to feel fulfilled is to fill yourself and give generously. So thank you. So I started with a farm camp. It was a center where I brought young people together. It was in the 70s, and we looked at what are our common goals, who are we as human beings, what is it that are our similarities, and what are our differences, and how do we get beyond those differences into the oneness of all of life. And I did this on many levels, from us living together and exploring what does that mean. And then I took it out into the world, because I saw we had seeded something that I felt was very important. There was this World Summit for Children in 1990 at the UN. And I had such a strong feeling that it should be of children, not for children, that it's like white people speaking for Black people, and that it's not fair. They need a voice. So I brought with someone else about 50 to 75 young people from around the world together, and we worked about a week on a document that was called a Declaration of Peace by young people. And it was extraordinary to have that experience with the young people, to see how they could really unite and come to an understanding of what they wanted to see in the world. And we presented it at the UNICEF, and then were invited to the UN and presented it there. And that was the beginning of the children's rights movement at the UN. They were looking at it from the legal perspectives, and I was looking at it as the empowerment perspective for young people, that now there was a document, the children's rights document, that they could use as a platform to move into the world and to understand that they have a future, and that their future is their own and doesn't belong to anybody else. So we worked on that for many years and brought it to the state level, brought it into the schools, and also all around the world. And I wandered the world, being invited here and there, but it allowed me to experience different cultures as if I became initiated into their understanding. So I wasn't an outsider looking in and trying to become part of something. I was inside with them and growing with them. And through that, I experienced the different cultures and the love that they have for wanting a good life. And so I worked with them everywhere, bringing young people together. We would bring 75 young people to Ghana, and we did meditation with the native people in Canada, with the Mohawks, with the Onondagas. We went to Thailand, and we did a meditation retreat for a week there. And it was kids from everywhere. In those days, it was easier to move young people around, I must say, and I could raise money easier for these kind of events. As the evolution of the computer came, we began to work that way together and looking at different things. In doing this roundabout the world and experiencing young people's dream to become, first of all, they want to be knowledgeable about what's going on in the world, and then they want to take positions on these issues. So they need some information that will give them some solidity of understanding what's in front of them, the hard and the good, etc. And then they have to ask themselves, who am I? What do I want? And how can I contribute? And there were many people that contributed in many ways. I mean, I have some favorite stories, of course. We have a young man who ran for president of Benin. We have a young man who really began 27 schools in the hills in Nepal, especially inviting girls to participate, a very important factor. And why did he want to do this? Is because as a child, his school was burned down. So each young person has a reason for what they want to do in this world, and it's up to us to foster that and support them. In Pakistan, we had a young man who really gained so much from meditation that he would go into the park once or twice a week and work with young people, and even the husbands of wives, etc., because the wives don't go out of the house so much. And he would teach meditation, but the wives would call him and say, you know, my husband's changing. I don't know how this is happening, but that fosters the understanding of if you carry peace, you can share peace with others. And it's not easy. I was just listening to a tape by by a spiritual leader who was talking about how hard it is to stay in the present and not carry the past and look to the future. Yeah, to be in the present, to find inner harmony. Yeah, I mean, it's a job of a lifetime, please, people. Don't think it's like you go to the store and you get it. So anyway, I did a lot of this work. At the same time, I worked on the holistic education field, and myself and Ron. Anyway, Ron and I wrote on a napkin in a restaurant this declaration for holistic education, and then it evolved into becoming the Chicago Statement, and now it's the education statement of, I think, 2021. Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, but it became the beginning of the holistic education movement. And then I wrote about soul education. I kept going deeper, you know, like from the external to the inner. As I did my work, I began to understand, you know, the deepest part of ourselves is our soul versus, you know, our externals. I started with self-esteem development, but I started to think self-esteem was a way of comparing yourself to another. Like, what is high self-esteem? What is low self? It means, where do you fit in the world more than how do you feel about yourself? Your soul is, it's not good nor bad nor, you know, the best over everybody else or the worst. It is who you are, and you have to nurture that and find it and value it and be it as much as you can, because the more you're it, the freer you are to be in the world whatever way you go, and your path becomes much more open path than a constructed path that the world has taught us. You know, we've been taught to, you know, follow suit to get a good profession. I was one of them. I went for finishing my doctorate. I got a CAGS, I got 2 masters, but all it was to confirm to me that I was enough, you know, and you don't need that business card. You need a better business card to be yourself. Yeah. Who are you? You know, and how can you be a better human being? And what is our purpose in life? It's to evolve internally and externally, and not to hold on to these precious constructs that we create, because otherwise we're going to go backwards. And we see a lot of that in the world today. When fear arises, we quickly grab hold of the past and make it our identity, and there's no need for it. So anyway, I wandered the world and did my work. I always gave to wherever I was as much as I can. That was my philosophy. And I'm a doer in the sense that I move fast. I'm not a detail person at all, you know, so, you know, you can count on me for wanting to make things happen. But yeah, I always trust life will work itself out somehow. We just did an event with Ukrainian youth that came from Kiev and the Peace School and some Polish youth. And, I remember the questions: who's going to do the bedding? How are you going to get the food? Who's going to transport? I just believe I can do one thing at a time and I get it done. It's like raising children, you do it. But anyway, to go back to the story, well, I was invited by 3 women to come to Auschwitz, and I brought along Michael Sturger and a cameraman, and they filmed it. So it was a wonderful filming, but it was so deeply upsetting. I've been in war zones. I've walked this planet into the depth of difficulties. I've seen horror, and I've seen people hungry and starving, and I've seen mistreated young people, a lot of stuff. But for me, my personal experience, because it was my legacy, my orientation, my lineage, I got to have it internally. It took me 2 weeks at least to get over my first visit to Auschwitz. Yes, I found the names of the family members and things like that. But then I started to walk in my family's shoes and what their lives were about, and how did they deal with their guilt, their anger, their sorrows and things. And rather than what was the impact on me, what was the impact on them? And it started to fester in me. And so, and I met Domen Kosovar, who went also to Auschwitz, who comes from a very different orientation. He's a liberal Catholic, and he has a strong background in Catholicism. And so we could balance each other off in that understanding that horror is horror is horror. And what's unique about Auschwitz is that they've preserved the horror. So you can walk through the horror and experience it and see, what does it mean to exterminate systematically human beings? And what a terrible thing that is. I mean, how does a mind go there? Why do they do it? Though I've learned in later days that there were many Nazi troopers who committed suicide because they couldn't stand what was being done. And there were also others who did underground helping. So let's not say all Germans were terrible. The life that it shows is terrible. And so from there, myself and Domen started to daydream, and daydreaming meaning, how do we transform, or how do we use this horrible experience to represent what we don't want in life, and then what do we want in life, and what are the solutions for all the issues that are coming up now in front of our face, and giving young people this opportunity to build a world that works for them and that they can dream about, because we know they care about climate crisis. We know they care about poverty. We even know that they want to collaborate, which is much more than any of us wanted to do. We wanted for ourselves to make a good life, to care about others outside of ourselves. But these young people, they got a different story going, and they it's like they're individuals. They want their own positions in life, and they want to feel the connection of who they are to the other. And that's unique, and we have to help them carry that forward, because that's the only way we're going to go into a new understanding, a new narrative, and that they are the torchbearers for that. We are the bridge builders. We hold the past and dream the future, and they're walking into it. Yes, very much so. So this understanding of being at Auschwitz, we have slowly acquired buildings, and Domen has been very instrumental in that. We met a man in Israel who parents, grandparents had been hung in the town, and he inherited a house. And he said, you know, that was the past. I am the present, and he is passed on now of cancer. But he said, your thinking is of the future. Let me help you foster that and it to become real. And he gave us that building. Now, don't think it's a wonderful building that you can just move into. It's a destroyed, dilapidated building, but it has historical preference, reality. It needs to be recognized. It once was a bakery, so we call it the bakery. And then we received another house through serendipitous way, and that we call the bakery because it was the bakery of the Christians. We had the Jewish bakery and the Christian bakery right next to each other. And how did, oh yeah, when the Ukrainian war broke out, I guess because I'd been to Poland before, I had a feeling for where Ukraine was and what was going on. I just got moved. I don't know. In 3 days, I had to pack up and go. I invited 2 friends to come with me, and we went right to the border, and we brought teddy bears with us. And what we saw was such distraught women and children, not the men. They stayed behind. And so these women were so, where do I go? Where do I sleep? How do I have money to eat? And Poland was so gracious to them. You have no idea. But, you know, time has gone on and life has gone on. And we raised money, which was very fortunate. People cared. And we refitted the house. And there were some wonderful people who came and worked on the house and gave their energy and their dreams into that house. So it's quite remarkable. And the house was fitted for 9 apartments. And then a good friend of ours, Phil Helmish, died. And we spoke with the parents of doing something to honor him. And we began what we call the Peace Lab, which is a room for bringing together people and having computers available for youth and starting to do programs there. We started with Zooms around the world. One of the Zooms that really touched me was having Rwanda kids talk to Ukrainian kids, talking to inner city Chicago kids, talking to the Polish kids. So kids that had been feeling disengaged and de-powered, not empowered, and bringing them together to talk about their pain and then their dreams and their hopes for the world. Because then we can start to say, but your hope can come true. Let's see what we can do to support you in this, you know? And so we moved on, and we just completed our first in-person program, and Lisa and Brian were there to help with this. And we were to be on the last day being living examples of how you can use a life. And we did a little talking, but more, we talked to them about them being them and finding a way to go forward and encouraging them and embracing them and nurturing them. And they became good friends, and we'll see where it goes, you know, one step at a time. Also, a friend of ours who works on our team is Paula Garb, and she brought 11 or 12 women to the house the other day for a conference where they could sit and meet after they went to Auschwitz. And these women are from around the world, and they are peace activists, meaning they're undercover human beings that work very, very hard to change what's happening in the world. And so, you know, it's inspiring to see and to hear them. And that's my life story. And I don't know what's next. Oh yeah, I'm going to Kenya, because there's going to be a school in a center named after me. But I've already gotten a container of clothes. I've asked people for old iPads, and I know somebody in the IT business who will get us some. And then I found a t-shirt man. So we're gathering the thing. I would never just go to be honored. I would go to be who I am, which is to help as much as I can wherever I am. But I didn't know I was going there a few months ago. That's the way it goes in life. You just go where you're called and see how it emerges, and whatever comes out of it, if you know your intention, it will be. Yeah. So I thank you very, very, very much for this award, this recognition. I feel, I don't know, it's more than happy. I feel humbled. It's not even humbled. It's something about, I thank life for letting me have the ability to have done what I could do and given my life to it. And then to give me a reflection back to say that it was worth something. I mean, I never thought, was it worth something or not? I just did what I felt I needed to do. But to now at this age and phase of my life to get this recognition, because I stepped out of the box. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, for making me feel or helping me feel that it was a life worth living.
Thank you, Nina. It's really, really, I'm so blessed. Thank you who you are. It's so inspiring. It's empowering. It's creating hope, building hope. You're such an inspiration for the youth to live what they came here for. I think that's another core message you have, and go for it. Just go for it.
Why not? It's just a life.
Right. Yeah.
And I want to show my present. I don't know if people can see it so well, but yeah. It's so beautiful. And it says Awakening Peace Award 2023, Dr. Nina Meyerhof. So I am now in Switzerland, but I'm going home, and I look to place it in a place, and I got this beautiful award too. I mean, everything Lisa and Brian do, they do with their heart. So there's so much beauty in it. Really, beauty, you do. And beauty always touches me. I mean, that's something to look for in life, the beauty. So thank you.
Wow, Nina, what a blessing you are in our lives. And you've given us many, many gifts here by introducing us to so many peace leaders. And I'm also thinking about when we brought the Japanese in to look at the horrors of the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and what happened in Auschwitz, and how could we turn those horrific events into peace building, that is kind of an outcome once we move through. What is the legacy of those events for the future of humanity? And so thank you for embracing one humanity, all of us, the shining light into the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Blessings and love. Yes.
In spite of all our problems, we are one.
Right.
That's nice. Lots of love and thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Bye-bye now.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.